Alright, I feel like you're just challenging me to play jazz.
No, I'm not. Besides, we have a thing to record. Come on.
Yeah, that's fair.
All
I don't know, I kind of like it. Yeah, this week our podcast is just NPR Jazz, and you'll all really enjoy that.
Just poorly recorded NPR Jazz.
Yeah, of course. I definitely wouldn't want to make that too, enjoyable.
Oh, goodness gracious. Alright, so, welcome, listeners, to the Dicey Logic podcast.
Right, that's what we are.
Yes,
the Dicey Logic podcast.
Yes, Dicey Logic is a channel for daring adventurers who may not always use their heads. Yes, I'm sticking with that. I used it last time, and I'm gonna keep using it. I love it.
Well, I still feel like that's slanderous to me, at least.
I'm sure there are many adventurers and players that think the same way.
Typical game master bullshit.
You're a game master too.
Yeah. So it's entirely fair for me to criticize our, hobby?
Alright, so we actually have a topic for this week. But let's do quick updates, I guess. We still have no sponsor, so if you want to sponsor us, go ahead and drop us an email at diceylogic@gmail.com.
Oh, we have an email address.
Yeah,
Oh,
I had
that's
to do
cool.
it to set up the YouTube page.
Oh, that makes sense.
No, but in actuality, progress with learning animation is going a little bit slower than I anticipated. So I'm probably just going to record my script and do it as, just as a reading instead of as an animation. So look for that in the coming weeks. I don't know if I'm going to, do a custom picture. The one we have right now is not my best work.
Well, it's trial and error. Objectively, people are probably going to find that this recording happened 6 months from now. So, people of the future, I'm so sorry about basically everything that's happened since this recording. I just hope you're all right.
Yeah, I mean, we've got the apocalypse scheduled for next week.
Wait, again?
Again, yeah.
Oh, if you people hear this, just know that I'm still mad about that. I'm still mad that the apocalypse didn't happen. People keep promising it. I'm ready.
You realize I just pulled that off the top of my head. There's no actual projection, right?
Oh, well, how do you know you're wrong? That sounds entirely plausible.
Okay, fair.
I bet we can find some megachurch guy who says the apocalypse is happening next week. There are enough of them.
Yeah, that's fair. But anyway, we actually have a topic for this week. The topic is creating interesting characters. Of course, this is a very broad topic that's going to take more than a half hour to go over. So we're going to split this into, intros. I'm Vera, and my co-host here is Steven, and we're
That's me.
The Dicey Logic podcast, and we're going to be talking about characters. Alright, so we're going to break this topic down. Look, this is only our second one. We're still working on the formula. So we're going to be talking... I've started this sentence 3 times. I'm not cutting any of this.
It's all good. Practice makes frustration. No,
Yes.
Perfect.
Yeah, one or the other.
Something
So, yes. Yeah, the topics are going to... This topic of making interesting characters is going to be broken down into several topics. I feel like it would be best if we started with making interesting NPCs. So this is more targeted at DMs, but it's also a good building block for creating interesting player characters.
Yeah, spoiler alert. Basically, any piece of advice to make something interesting from one part of the game can be stolen by people on the other side of the table.
Stolen is such a strong word.
I'm sorry, creatively licensed.
That's a lot milder than I was going to use. I was going to say fucking borrowed.
Fucking borrowed. Alright. I don't know, you just sounded like you wanted a euphemism.
Well, anyway.
Figured I'd...
So anyway, I use a really simple trick to make my NPCs interesting as a GM, and it kind of sounds like Steven does the same thing. You take a core stereotype in Dungeons and Dragons, and then you sort of go against that stereotype a little bit. In example, I have an NPC who is in the Eye of the Spectator Plaza Square, or whatever it's called, Market Square. And Eye of the Spectator is a play on Eye of the Beholder. I figured the players would probably want to fight whatever was in there, and I shouldn't put a beholder in there. So I found a spectator, and spectators are basically beholders, but halfway.
Diet beholders.
Yeah, beholder diet.
Boneless beholders.
Yeah, the
boneless holders.
They're beholder. Yeah, they're diet beholders. Beholders with all the taste and half the calories.
Hopefully not the disintegration ray. I don't remember what beholders.
Oh no, they totally have disintegration.
Oh great.
Yeah.
Great.
And they still have the petrifying ray too. All the important ones.
How are they less of a threat?
Because they don't have as many of these rays.
That's great.
But yeah, so the spectator's name is Bob Tom, and my players absolutely adore him.
He's adorable.
He is. So he was summoned into this section of the city by a great wizard named Bob Tom.
We kind of hate Bob Tom. He seemed like a real jerk.
Yeah, Bob Tom was definitely an evil wizard. Definitely summoned Bob Tom to guard something.
Secrets.
Yes, dark and dangerous secrets.
Old secret. Ancient secrets.
Ancient secrets, yes. Now, okay, spectator being summoned to guard something, not so interesting, but instead of a castle or a keep, he's in a market square, and he's not evil. He just has his one directive, and as long as people leave him alone, for the most part, he's okay with them. In fact, he's sort of become the unofficial police officer of that market plaza. And he has 3 rules, or he has 3 warnings, basically, or 3 strike system.
Baseball rules.
Yeah.
As all good legal codes have.
Yeah. If you start to cause trouble, and make it more difficult for him to guard his secrets, or just bother the people in the plaza, really, because he's technically free, because he's served his 101 years
that's
or
the
whatever.
part I really like. He's no longer bound to this place. He doesn't have any magical compulsion on him. His wizard is dead. He just liked the guy, so he just keeps on doing it.
Yeah. I mean, and so 3 strike system. Your first thing, you're given a warning. The second one, you're banned from the plaza. And the third one, you're eaten. He just straight up eats you.
You sound very excited about that third warning.
What? Me, a GM, excited about the third strike? Where the spectator eats whoever it is that's causing trouble? In a group of players that constantly cause trouble?
Again,
no.
Slander. I don't appreciate that. Accurate or not.
It's not slander, it's accurate.
It still can't be. Anyway, yeah, Bob Tom is a lot of fun. And actually, another thing I absolutely adore about it is he tells people that he's guarding secrets, and is very open about their existence, and that they're definitely not in or near the pile of, bedding he has. Which... Now, we don't know if that's true, or if he's misdirecting us, or it's like a double misdirection. And we'll find out eventually. We're gonna get those secrets.
But the point with this is that with Bob Tom, you always expect spectators to be, or beholders to be, like these big evil genius masterminds that go in and and are evil and cunning and Bob Tom is just like an adorable idiot. But he still has all the the people still are like, hey, this is still a spectator. He's still he
can still ruin our day.
Yeah, but they've just kind of grown used to him, his presence.
Yeah. Oh, and he was summoned 100 years ago.
Yeah.
So people had a while to get used to him hanging out in the square, and one presumes that it was not a thriving market when Bob Tom was there.
Oh no. It was more like a walled off area that this wizard was defending with his spells and stuff. But then wizard died 20 years after Bob Tom was summoned, and then a merchant just sort of came in and was like, hey, if I set up shop here, are you gonna kill me? And Bob Tom was like, you're not after the secrets, are you? Hell no! okay, you're good. Like, he had one directive.
Basically, Bob Thompson is like accidentally creating a safe trading zone by I guess I'm just gonna file it under misinterpreting his original orders. Like I think that's like it's not a misinterpretation, but I don't know what else to call it.
It's what you get for using the cheap something spell.
Yeah, that's fair. Discount always gets you.
But I'm sure you have an example of this character twist idea.
Yeah, I have a few, but I don't really want to touch on that because you've sort of illustrated it very nicely. I want to introduce another of my absolute favorite tricks for this, and I got this from some Advanced Dungeons and Dragons Game Master book that my cousin gave me like 10 years ago, 15 years ago, and it's simply everybody has a secret. Period. Everything you create in the world has something about it that is not apparently obvious. If it has a name, it has at least one secret. And what that does is it very quickly establishes that there are things that your players can learn about. And so if they get interested in some part of the world, whatever it is, they get to sort of unpack it a bit. And that allows people to really engage with the story. And maybe not in the way that you planned on or wanted to.
Yeah.
Because players are dumb.
Players are very intelligent. They just do dumb things.
Whatever.
Semantics.
Semantics, yes, indeed. So that's one of the ways that I've been able to really get people interested in the world and get them interacting with NPCs. Because the fact is, D&D is basically just improv with math attached to it, so you need to have conflict. And so if you need to have conflict, you either need to have some awful person in the party ruining it for everybody else, which sucks. Always.
Yeah, and actually that's something I'm going to talk about later is the difference between a terrible player and a terrible character, because you can make a terrible character that plays their role, but not a terrible person, and with that sort of separation so that people can work around it. My character Avayas in the other game is a terrible person, terrible, all around. Everybody loves her because she just the stupidest stuff, but it progresses the storyline, progresses the narrative, and we'll get into that later. Yeah, that's definitely things to come.
Definitely a way of doing it. My favorite example of this. And this is part of a long story.
The secrets thing, right?
The secrets thing.
Okay, yeah. To make sure we're back on topic.
Yeah. Sorry. Transition. You all saw the transition happen.
Transition.
Yeah, we both just made jazz hands. It was pretty great. So, when I was running Shadowrun, I was running a game set in Denver. And I had 3 or 4 players... 4 players, and then I had a guy who I wanted to join, but I hadn't talked him into it by the first game. So I had him basically play the fixer character who hired them to do their first job. And I gave him a secret, and his secret was that he was recruiting agents for a terrorist cell. And so the entire meta plot of this game is that one of the players was recruiting for a terrorist cell, and the rest of the players were his marks, who he was radicalizing into being terrorists. And it was beautiful. And there is so many. This is my favorite campaign I've ever run. It was so good. The reason it was good wasn't because of what I did. It was because what I got the players to do. And so there were 3 main characters. Double B, who I will eventually chronicle in Incomplete, but that requires far more time than we have here. Truly, seriously a saga, including a year worth of real-time game sessions. Great stuff. And Double B is the bluish ogre YouTuber who live streams his crimes.
You're telling me about him.
Yeah, he's great. And then there was Bump, who was a drug-hating, mercenary aspiring gun runner. and Claude, who is sort of tricksy magician guy. Girlfriend was a monster hunter. There's drama there. Oh, and the character who I set up to recruit the other players into the terrorist cell was Proteus, who was a former news anchor who faked his own death and was sort of recruited into the terrorist club. And so after a mission happened, and the Claude, Bump, and Double B were all hanging out in the same place, and Claude, this is maybe 8, 9, 10 sessions in, Proteus says, "Okay, guys, so I haven't been totally honest with you about what we're doing here. We're basically a terrorist cell. And I just thought you should know that. Because we've just done a whole bunch of terrorism.
Oh my god.
And it's a little late for you to back out."
So basically, because you gave the NPC a secret, and then had the guy play that NPC later,
Yep.
it created interesting player character interactions later.
Here's where it gets great. Because the punchline, that wasn't the punchline.
Oh no.
The punchline was that the two characters looked at each other and immediately said, "Yeah, let's not tell Claude." That player, I don't think he found out for a year that the full extent of what his character was involved in, and the other players actually would go behind his back and do more explicitly terroristy things.
Oh wow.
And it was pretty amazing.
And again, this all stemmed from that initial secret that you gave to the NPC.
Yep.
that the player took over.
Exactly.
In our current game, there's actually several NPCs that do have secrets. I haven't been giving them to every NPC because, I'm just one person.
You have made a lot of NPCs.
Oh yeah. But there are a few main ones that have major secrets that you've come so close to stumbling into, which would have completely changed the narrative.
Awesome.
Angela's character, Amber, is a paladin. Paladins get divine sense. She came you can't see how close my fingers are right now, but I'm doing the little this close thing.
It's the world's tiniest violin. That's
Yeah.
how close.
Yeah, she came so close to, revealing a big secret right away. And it was crap, I didn't realize paladins could do this so early. So I had to, look up ways to hide fiends from paladins. So there is definitely a fiend somewhere, and you will find them eventually.
Yeah, I'm not real interested in rushing that process.
Yeah, in the meantime, you have a vampire spawn that you have to deal with who has his own reasons for doing what he's doing.
Yep.
His secret, more or less. His secret wasn't that he was a vampire spawn, although he was keeping that secret from society. The player characters were meant to find that out right away.
Yeah.
He has a deeper secret.
Oh, great.
Multi-layer these secrets.
Oh, yeah, that was the next thing to say. Because once you make sure that the secrets have secrets, that's when you really start cooking with gas. Because then you don't just get one big reveal moment. You get this cascade of, oh, shit.
Oh, yeah.
And if you do it right, it makes it look like you've planned the whole thing when mostly everybody's just been stumbling around cluelessly. It's beautiful.
In fact, your big bad for this session is kind of against the vampire at this point, and is manipulating things behind the scenes in ways that you don't see yet to give you advantages, but also has helped this vampire at an earlier point when it benefited him. So you'll see more. I'm spoiling a little bit for you, but not too much that you won't enjoy it.
Definitely don't say too much more, because
I'll talk more about the vampire next time.
There's another interesting thing that ties back to that same game. I find it useful to sort of clearly delineate what knowledge the player you has and the you has. So in that Shadowrun game, the player who played Proteus took over GMing after we were done with Denver. When I say done with Denver, I mean had to flee the jurisdiction because it you do enough terrorism and eventually you have to flee the state. It's just how it works. And so he took over, and I created this character, and he was going to be a stone cold psychopath, completely terrible person, and for reasons that are far too complicated for the moment, he ended up like having a heart and like essentially sacrificing himself to save a whole bunch of other people. Sort of. That's also complicated.
Yeah.
That's the canon for it. But I helped him build the version of Denver we played Shadowrun in because there's no source book for it. And so I had a big pile of knowledge that we could have abused. And so it created this very clear distinction between me, my character Carlos, and Meta Carlos, who had all of our knowledge. And, like, we disagreed, all three of us, constantly. So, like, we created an NPC, Ralph Nixon. You would love Ralph Nixon. Ralph Nixon is I guess I should say was, for Shadowrun metaplot reasons, a former accountant who sort of stumbled into the shadows, but turns out was really good at ruthlessly running criminal organizations and also money laundering. So he's extremely wealthy at doing this and basically took over.
Like Cyril and Archer.
What's that?
Like Cyril and Archer.
Yeah, actually, yes. He's like Cyril and Archer, but way, way better at
everything.
Yeah. Well, maybe not the accounting, but like, but the rest of it. So, like, my stance was, no, I want Ralph Nixon around as much as possible. Ralph Nixon is great. I love everything about him. Meta Carlos's reaction was, no, kill him now. He's way too dangerous to deal with. Carlos's reaction is, well, we should kill him, but, like, maybe we can make some money off him first. And, like, this disagreement was, and I've had, like, that sort of thing with other characters, but I've never had it where I did a substantial part of the world building, so I had to very actively step back from making decisions in the game that would abuse that knowledge.
Right. Yeah, this kind of ties back to, as a GM, when you make NPCs, you have to know what they know.
Yep.
Because you, as the GM, you know everything. Something that takes away the interest of a game, takes away the interest of a world. If one guard finds the players, doesn't have any way of communicating with any other guard, and then all of a sudden every guard knows where they are, like, knows where the players are. Like,
yeah.
That sucks the fun instantly out for the players.
Yeah.
Remember, Dungeons & Dragons and, role-playing games in general are games. That's the thing. So you have to make sure that there are clear parameters for what your NPCs know, and for how they act on that knowledge. Now, if let's take that guard scenario. I have a guard at a guard post. The rogue ends up failing their stealth roll, and the barbarian makes it somehow. I don't know. The guard sees and goes, "Hey, wait, what are you doing? I'm gonna have to alert everyone else." But if they decide to try talking to this guard instead of just straight up killing him, maybe they could try bribing him. Maybe they could try talking to him. Then I have to start creating a story for this guy. What makes him interesting? Well, he has a girlfriend at home who is now, who is recently pregnant, and he's scared about what's going to happen, and money problems because he doesn't make enough as a guard.
Yeah.
Now, all of a sudden, he's humanized, but the players don't know that, so they can try to coax that out of him and use it against him. Hey, you mentioned your kid on the way. Here's 100 gold to pretend you didn't see us. And don't worry about this job. We know a guy who can hire you again. Like, or they could just straight up kill him and never find out anything about him, but he has reason to hesitate if the players engage him.
Yep.
And give him, a solution to one of his problems. So even minor interactions like this, create a secret on the fly, or, have like a table of secrets, roll a d20.
What I would suggest, because rolling a d20, that's really time consuming. Like, just know what secrets you have in mind. To have a big list of secrets. I don't know. I read a lot of news, so it's not really hard for me to think of secrets people keep hitting for people. Like, this happens all the time.
I specifically avoid the news, but go on.
Yeah, smart. Like, that's a way of doing it. I feel it's a little bit more organic if you just kind of know what secrets this person might have. And it's important that they don't all be big. Like, the kid at home, like, worried about money troubles, that's great. Because that is That's not, like, you don't want every guard to, like, oh, and here's the next piece of the map to the treasure of our ancient prophecy that you needed. Like...
Or I'm the secret necromancer at the end of the tunnel.
Yeah.
Like...
I mean, every so often something like that is great.
And also actually, really funny.
And also really funny. But, like, that wears thin pretty quick.
Yeah, like, if it's every guard, then, like... What kind of place is hiring these people?
Yeah, that's true. A really good recruiting agency. They just
Apparently.
they just find the right people. Anyway, so I wanted to take a point on the like weird NPC creation thing. So I was playing Pathfinder with my cousin, and so we're out on an adventure in the first session, and he has this half ogre threaten us, and he's like, pay the toll, and like one of the players, I don't remember what they were, but I was playing Syl. One of my favorite characters I've ever played. He was a former Mind Flayer turned into a gnome. So his alignment was not true neutral. It was lawful evil and chaotic good. So he was a little loopy. Also the most sane person there, which scared me. Different story. So this half-ogre has this big rock and you gotta pay the toll. And so the other players were ready to fight. I'm like, hold on. Well, how much is it? And he asked for, a number in, silver pieces. No, it may have even been copper pieces. And I'm like, oh, honey, no, that's not happening. Listen, you've got to ask for more money than that.
You got upkeep on this bridge.
Listen, here's 10 gold pieces. Why don't you just come with us? We're picking a fight with these guys over here. You seem like you'd be great for that. And so, by giving him this ridiculous amount of money to him that was completely insignificant to my character, we got a hireling. I then got him a job as a guard in the city, and he became a reoccurring character who made that campaign a lot more fun.
Yeah, again, NPC secrets. Here's the troll on the bridge or ogre on the bridge.
Yep.
Who's demanding a toll. Know what that toll is. Know that guy's home life, if you can call it that.
Oh, that's unfair. He's worked very hard to make that hovel look decent.
Yeah, well, you know what I mean.
I do.
I don't know if he lives under the bridge or whatever, but go through, give him a little bit of a backstory. Not a major thing. Just I'm definitely a fan of giving kids to random NPCs. Apparently, right now.
Kids to NPCs is great. Actually, that's why Carlos stopped being a psychopath, because I gave him the dependence quality. So he had this 10-year-old kid. So every now and then he'd come home and oh, that's right, I have feelings. And then Danny, the GM, mercilessly exploited them for dramatic effect over and over again.
Yeah. As a GM, you definitely want to do that, but we'll talk about that later.
Yeah.
But yeah, so I mean, in the end, take a stereotype that your players are expecting from a fantasy setting, twist it a little bit so that, in a way that they aren't expecting, and give your NPCs little backstories, little secrets that players can uncover.
Yep. The
more grandiose your villain, the larger the secret. Maybe your necromancer has a family that they've raised.
Also, a note that we never actually found it in the game because it didn't run long enough. But that character I mentioned from my cousin's game, the person who told him to collect tolls out there and rob people was actually an important part of the plot. And so, later on, we were supposed to run into another thing that we could have gotten more information about if we found out who hired him, rather than just being that is so sad that you've decided to do this with your life. Let us fix you.
So again, give your characters a little bit of the unexpected. Your kobolds don't have to all be communist utopia. One or two of them can be fairly evil or priestly good, which isn't expected. Give your NPCs a little bit of backstory and a secret, and allow the players to learn these secrets, to exploit them. Yep. And or if the player accidentally says something that appeals to this secret, let them have it. Let them be yep. Oh, I have really talked about this much, but my dog died the other week and I've been feeling real bad about it. And and
put your players in awkward situations. They'll love it.
I mean, the characters won't, but the players will think it's great. But, I think that just about wraps us up this time. Thank you so much for listening, everyone.
Much appreciated.
We will continue on with this general topic, move on to another aspect of it in our next one. And thanks for listening. Click like, subscribe.
And don't forget to sell your soul to us, because we don't have enough souls yet.
Yeah, I mean, between the two of us, we've got 2, maybe 3.
Oh, were we not supposed to bring more? I'm sorry. Now it's awkward. Listen, it's just not enough to pay for everything. Don't worry, there'll be like a form.
Yeah. Join us on Soultry. Click the bell, and we'll see you all next time.
Oh, Soultry has to be a thing.